The news not so good, though. Another Border Patrol agent has been killed in the line of duty. Another agent was wounded near the U.S.-Mexico border in Arizona, your home state. Too early, obviously, to know if there's any connection to Fast and Furious. But your thoughts, I can only imagine, when you first heard about this.
Well, I mean, I guess our border is more secure than ever before, even though we've seen an increase in deadly violence. But, first of all, Jenny, our heart goes out and our thoughts and prayers go out to the family of Border Agent Ivy and his family and the other agent that was wounded. Boy, this is a sad time.
It really, really is. And Governor Brewer, I think, made a very important point. She said it's sad, but we need to be angry as well. This is too many times. How many more people have to pay a price?
Oh, absolutely, Jenny. And, our border security is haphazard at best. We've had warning signs over and over again. What's it going to take? A catastrophic event. We see this going on. And, the Univision story shows that this is a battleground. This is a war zone. And, when you're killing teenagers at a birthday party and people working at a rehabilitation clinic, this is sad. How can we sit here and allow this to occur? And that's what I keep coming back to, Jenny, is where are the Latino caucus? Where's the Hispanic caucus? Asking for answers, asking for accountability and justice. I just don't see it, and I'm appalled.
No, and especially as you pointed out in a statement, here you have Univision just doing a special report showing that 57 more guns linked to Fast and Furious were used in massacres, as you mentioned, the shooting at that school event in Mexico. And where are the voices, and what has the Obama administration done?
It's despicable. And Hispanics worldwide, and particularly in the States, ought to be seeing and yelling and screaming about this. Unfortunately, I'm not seeing it. And I'm sad to say that the mass media has covered it up. They have not brought this to the light. I mean, if this would be anybody else, this would be in forefront. But, I was on the Geraldo show the day after, or the day of the hearing, day after the hearing in regards to the Inspector General's report. Mm-hmm. And Geraldo said, well, I know you're not a bad guy, but, how does it feel to incriminate the first African-American Attorney General of the United States and see him vindicated? And I said, obviously you didn't read the same report I did.
Absolutely.
We're so quick to not read and try to chastise those that are asking for accountability, but yet not doing their due diligence of getting transparency and accountability for the innocent victims.
And when you listen what the Inspector General said, he said you should have had the documents you didn't get, and that Holder should have known. He didn't, but they all say, hey, he's been vindicated. Where and how could he have been vindicated when you see what's in that report?
Oh, absolutely. And then you start looking at the whole scenario in regards to the wiretaps. How can the Attorney General come in front of our committee and say what he said? How can he do that? How can Lanny Brewer still have a job? Like I said in my questioning, this is like a felon having a prior felony on his account. He's had a prior because he investigated and opened up wide receiver, and he knew there was failure, but continued to go forward.
Mm-hmm. And what about the 14 people that the Inspector General recommended for disciplinary action? What have we heard? What are we going to hear? Nothing right now.
And the thing about it, Jenny, is it should be more than just discipline. It should be more that, they should have to deal, like I said before. If you did a crime, you're going to do the time, or at least go in front of a jury of your peers. And we need to make sure that justice is applicable not just to the average man and woman, but to bureaucrats and to the Department of Justice. Because when people know that they're being held accountable and that there's watchdogs out there, that's when we have what America does best, upholding our Constitution. And that's what another thing that really bothers me is just the defiling that we see of this constitutional agreement and seeing Justice Department just walking all over it.
Yeah, and CNS News is reporting now that White House aide Kevin O'Reilly, who we all know communicated with ATF's Bill Newell about Fast and Furious, quote unquote, was suddenly transferred to Iraq. And the White House is refusing, as you know, to let him talk to you. He won't let him talk to the Inspector General. So Congressman Issa and Senator Grassley have sent a letter to O'Reilly's attorney warning him that they'll subpoena him if he doesn't agree to testify. And this is what you've been dealing with, one stonewall, one cover-up after the other, and then you can't talk to the people who are involved, and neither can the Inspector General.
Absolutely, but I think there's keys too, Jenny, that, like I told people, the Inspector General is just one report. It gives us some insight from the Inspector General's office into 100,000 pages that we've not received probably 98,000 of them. And, that's why I asked the questions that I did, and I want follow-up. Mm-hmm. I want to follow up on all the testimony that was given to Congress by any member of the DOJ, including the Attorney General, to ask if there was information that was presented, and those that reviewed the testimony that warned any of those that they were giving false and misleading testimony to Congress. I want to know who, when, and why, and who they responded to within the DOJ.
Mm-hmm. And the Terry family has made clear they're not satisfied. And it was, Mrs. Terry, Agent Brian Terry's mom, she wrote on Facebook yesterday, as soon as she heard about the shooting on the border, she said her heart goes out to Agent Ivy's family and that this should not happen to our agents.
Oh, absolutely. And I just feel so sorry for these families and to the Brian Terry family. Holy cow, there's like another dagger.
Yeah.
How many times are we going to see this over and over again? And we're risking our men and women on the border as well as across the world on our defense. And we've got an administration that doesn't do anything but put them in harm's way without the assets to defend themselves properly.
And, you hate to even think about it, Congressman, whether the Ivy family is going to go through the very same ordeal that the Terry family has been going through just to try to get the truth, which they still haven't gotten.
Well, yeah. If history is to repeat itself, Jenny, they won't. But, we make it clear that we're not going away. That's why oversight is turned into pit bulls. And if they think that they're going to bypass Congress, think again.
Yeah, and I know you said in your statement that the administration has blood on its hands. A lot of people may say, hey, that's a heck of a strong statement.
Well, you know what? It should be a strong statement because people have died and people will continue dying. And it's a shame, an absolute, utter shame that what we've done is used the executive orders. We've used the president to hide. We've used the attorney general to violate the Constitution right and left. It's despicable actions that go against crimes against Americans, and there is blood on their hands.
Mm-hmm. And the ranchers in your home state, they called me right away, several of them that I know out there yesterday. They said, you know what, Jenny, this is sad, but we're so scared because it's only going to continue to get worse.
Oh, absolutely. And think about it. This is an opportunity for cooperation to mandate the state of Mexico, the country of Mexico, to come and do their due diligence. This is a war. And to do it appropriately, this is a constitutional dictation based upon the federal government. And they're just violating it right and left and advocating against doing their job.
And I know you're fighting the fight and you're going to continue to keep it up. Before you head out, though, I got to ask you, because tonight is the big night, the first presidential debate. And we've got this game of expectations going on. What do you think?
Well, I think it's been overstudied. I just hope that Governor Romney, puts it in precision form like a surgeon. Dicing, slicing, putting and making sure that he is on his heels throughout the whole night and making sure that he owns this economy. It's disgusting. In my district that I currently serve in, it's the second poorest in the country, Jenny, and people can't go much longer. And, they're overtaxed as it is. They have no reserves left. Something's wrong. And when we're doing something wrong, it's time to change course.
Yeah.
And we want to make sure that people fundamentally understand that this is a commitment to their country. Country comes first, not personal ambitions.
And there hasn't been much coverage since day one of Fast and Furious, so I'm sure the odds of President Obama being asked about this scandal tonight are pretty slim, don't you think?
No, if I was Mitt Romney at the last 5 minutes of that, I'd make a shot. During a Fast and Furious, the DOJ avocation of their duty, also across the country or in the world, in regards to our embassies and our ambassador, the despicable actions. We've been called back on Wednesday to have a hearing in regards to our foreign dictation and embassy issues. This is absolutely horrendous. That we're putting our men and women, our treasure, in the line of fire without having due diligence nor the assets to do their job appropriately and defend themselves and protect themselves.
And that's so
Horrible.
true. And whether it's the embassy or it's Fast and Furious, it's the same problem. And you got an administration who refuses, who doesn't want the American people to know the truth.
Absolutely, and Jenny, I would be amiss if I didn't say one more thing. You know, when you saw the account from Univision, they made it perfectly clear, unlike what the Democrats on the side saying, that this wasn't about weak gun laws. This was about the administration and the Department of Justice allowing guns to intercede without proper interdiction into Mexico. And this administration has called on and defied us by saying we needed new gun laws. And that is exactly what we do not want.